Hi guys, hope everyone's having a good week so far. Yes, last video I should say, I talked about kind of the buildup of totalitarianism, kind of the stage being set for World War II. Today we're going to talk about the start of World War II. And so basically, guys, when you talk about the start of World War II, you really have to start with the idea of Germany reuniting with Austria. So obviously, this was against the Treaty of Versailles. If you guys remember, they were forbidden from ever joining together with Austria. But Hitler in the saddle, he's pushing for it. He was Austrian. He wants to unify Germany and Austria. Um, there's some support to have Austria be annexed into the Third Reich, into Germany, but a lot of that is coming from German nationals in Austria, Nazi Party members in Austria, uh, you know, kind of the loud minority, I guess, if you will, guys, is pushing for this, and they're also um, terrorizing those that are against it. Okay, and so that's really the first sign, as well as Germany moving into uh, kind of this demilitarized zone that was supposed to be there, guys, along the Rhine River between France and Germany. So those two steps, those were really all out. Hey, blatant, we're breaking the Treaty of Versailles. Come get us, Germany. Come get us, Britain. And nothing's done about it. Okay, and so that really emboldens Hitler, guys. He starts making other wild demands. He starts making demands on Czechoslovakia. So remember, guys, part of Czechoslovakia was formed out of Germany, what used to be Germany. Um, so you can see it here. But basically, this Sudetenland that has a bunch of traditional German-speaking people, they say, hey, hand it over. You guys need to give us the Sudetenland. And Czechoslovakia is saying, heck no, we're not doing that. And there's this real fear in Europe, especially in the UK, of hey, are we going to start another world war over this? Nobody wants to start a world war over Czechoslovakia. And so the prime minister at the time, guys, of Great Britain, he basically says, okay, Hitler, let's sit down and talk. He goes to Hitler's back um, backyard, basically, to Munich, Germany, and they broker a deal. And essentially, Chamberlain, the prime minister at the time of the UK, of Great Britain, he says, "Okay, Hitler, take the Sudetenland. We won't stop you." Um, and Czechoslovakia is going, we want to stop them. So this was a big deal, guys. The Czechoslovakians, the Czechs, they had a very strong army. They had one of the world's largest munitions factories in the world at that time. They are in a mountainous region of Europe. And so they very well could have put up a big, big fight, but Chamberlain basically gave us away. And so this was a big turning point as well, of Hitler's going, I can make any demand I want, and they're just going to give it to me because they're afraid to fight. They don't want to fight. And so that really establishes, this is known as the Munich Crisis, where at Munich, Chamberlain basically gives away the Sudetenland to Germany. And then, like most people thought, once Germany's able to pass into Czechoslovakia's borders and occupy the Sudetenland, well, a couple months later they go, okay, well, now we're going to bite off the whole rest of the thing. And they just absorb basically the rest of Czechoslovakia that was not part of the Sudetenland. Okay, and so that was in 1938, and in 1939, Hitler starts making demands on Poland. Hey, I want this little area here, number 7. I want the Danzig Corridor. the Danzig Corridor has ethnic Germans in it. I think you're mistreating these ethnic Germans. You better give it back or I'm going to take it back. So you can see here, guys, it was kind of weird. The Danzig Corridor, it was just to give Poland a seaport, okay, on the Baltic Ocean, or sorry, the Baltic Sea. And so that's why it's created. So you can see here, you have Germany right here, what was used to be part of Prussia, then Poland, and then the rest of Germany. So they did that just to give Poland a corridor and access to have a port, okay, for trading and things like that. So that's the thinking behind that, even though it's kind of odd. But Hitler's saying, "Hey, this was traditional German territory. I want it back." Right, and he's gotten what he wants, this whole time. Why would he not get what he wants again? Now, this is very close to the Soviet Union, guys. The USSR, a communist nation. Hitler, the Nazis, very openly anti-communist. There's no love lost here. And so the Soviets are saying, hey, you better watch out trying to come into Poland. You're going to have to deal with us. The British are saying, no, 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 you told me at Munich, Chairman is saying, hey, you gave me your word at Munich that once you got the Sudetenland, you were going to be done. So you better not try and come into Poland and take Danzig now. And so both sides are saying, hey, whoa, whoa. The Soviets, people are pushing for them to, or the UK is pushing for the British to make a deal with the Soviets. They don't want to be associated with the communist government, the Bolsheviks. They don't trust them. The Soviets, they won't give an outright alliance to Poland because, remember, guys, they hate the Poles. There's a lot of mistrust there. And so what ends up working out, guys, is summer 1939. The Germans solve this Soviet Union problem, the Big Red Army problem, if they go into Poland. And they make a deal, a secret pact with the Soviets in August of 1939. So September 1st, 1939, with the Soviets off their back, the Germans stage an attack on the border between Germany and Poland, an attack on a German radio station where they dress up German prisoners as Polish soldiers, shoot them down, call it in. Hey, there's been an attack on the radio station. Hitler says, how dare they? We're invading. They invade Poland. They don't have to worry about the Soviets. The Soviets, they made a secret agreement that after they come in and start fighting Poland, the Soviets are going to move in from the east and take the eastern part of Poland. That's the deal. Hey, we'll take the western part. You take the eastern part if you agree not to jump in and fight us, Soviets. Okay. And so they attack Poland. The United Kingdom, Chamberlain, he'd given them a guarantee. Hey, if Germany invades, we're going to go to war with Germany. We're going to fight them. He can't do anything to stop the invasion. He doesn't even have troops mobilized. He doesn't even have troops over on mainland Europe yet. So the French guys get involved as well, and they jump in and declare war on Germany. So France and Britain, they've declared war on Germany. Obviously, Poland's at war with Germany. Germany mops the floor with them. Blitzkrieg tactics, lightning war tactics that we talked about last year. So very, very easily run through Poland, take Warsaw in a matter of weeks, and then turn around, take a little break, call it Sitzkrieg during the winter, which makes sense. Even though we're more in modern warfare, you don't see a lot of people trying to fight during the winter. Spring comes around, though, and then they get rolling again. They turn west against France. The French say, hey, it's going to be typical Germans. They're going to try and go across the flat plains of Belgium and Luxembourg. We're going to mount all our forces kind of on that borderline. And then also we have the Maget line is what it was called. which was partially right here, but it didn't run the entire border between France and Germany. So kind of the socialist mood at the time in France, hey, we don't want to spend money on defense. We want to spend money on workers and all that. So they didn't finish the Maginot Line, this big defensive fortifications on the border of Germany and France. And so the Germans said, oh, this little area around Argonne and the Andrew Mountains, we can get through there, no problem. And so they just come streaming in and outflank the French who are along the Maginot Line, and then the French that are poised on the border of Belgium. And so this is just becomes a rout of the French army. They're bailing out. The British had sent troops over to France to help France fight. They're on the run. You have the miracle at Dunkirk. Some of you may have seen. It's probably 4 or 5 years old now, I think. Dunkirk, the film. So the miracle at Dunkirk, where the Germans are bearing down on them in France, and the British people. So not just the British military, but this giant flotilla of civilian ships from England comes across the channel and picks up over 300,000 troops, French and British troops, and saves them from getting captured and destroyed by the German army. France is screaming for, the British, which at this time, the Prime Minister is now Winston Churchill. He's screaming for him to send, and the U.S. to send swarms and swarms of planes to help the French save them. And Churchill holds them back. He makes the tough decision and holds them back. Okay, so that's really the start of the war, 1939 into spring and early summer of 1940. Around that time, the Germans, once they take France in late spring, they are then turn their sights to the British. They start pounding the British from the air, pounding London with bombings. Okay, and so this is known as the Blitz in England. And they're trying to hammer their Air Force and knock out the British Air Force so they can launch an invasion across the English Channel of England. Okay, 1940, guys, is also, 1941, okay, summer 1941, the Germans, flushed with victory over France, but still not very pleased that they couldn't knock out Britain in time, turn around and focus on launching an attack against the Soviets. And now the Soviet Union is at war with Germany. They're fighting to keep the Germans from taking control of their capital, Moscow. And you have, a German-Italian alliance, the Pact of Steel between Germany and Italy as well, going on. And so everything's looking really good for the Axis and really bad for the Allies. Okay, so that's what the Axis was, originally Germany and Italy, and then eventually you have Japan join as well. Okay, and so that is kind of the situation that's going on leading into World War II.